Hello everyone, so I am Lauren, I'm a sound healing doula, and I am yet again coming back to talk to you about something that lights me up and something that feels really good to talk about and release. So I want to talk about how coping mechanisms really do kind of shape the way that your healing journey unfolds or can unfold, because in my experience I have been able to indulge in alcohol and food and sex as well, but there have been times where I haven't necessarily been fully in my body, where I'm just taking in every moment of whatever situation I'm in. And with my personal ability to kind of switch my emotions off, because in some ways feeling my emotions and feeling them very strongly is a blessing, but sometimes it can be very exhausting. So I choose to mute them or sort of dull them down a little bit so I can focus on the world around me and I can cope. And sometimes these coping mechanisms get in the way of my ability to stay the course with my healing journey. And when things such as grief do arise in my journey, or something happens and there is a smell, a song, a visual, a reference to something connected to grief, my body still has a very intense reaction to it. And my automatic default is to just disconnect from my body, because I don't want to feel that for too long. And in the past it was really bad, and the thing is that there was a lot of comfort for me when I shifted into that space of not being connected to my body, and that in itself was a coping mechanism. And while coping mechanisms help for a certain period of time, there is a time where it can't be like that all the time. In my eyes, I'm okay, so you have whichever coping mechanism you have, but that is just delaying the potential of feeling the feeling really intensely and then kind of moving through it and getting to the other side. Now, this is not to say that when feelings of grief, discomfort, and anything to do with trauma, when you feel it, it's not to say that you can't have something to distract your mind. That is totally okay. And I do feel that there is a place when it is done in a controlled manner, that numbing yourself and kind of just blocking certain emotions out in very specific situations it helps you because your body is protecting you, and that level of protection is sometimes what is needed so that you can get the things that you need to get done in life done. And then once those things are kind of taken care of, you can drop the mask, you can put it down, you can put down the heaviness of having to interact with people when you're not really in the emotional space to necessarily do that. Now, with all of the potential coping mechanisms, I feel like there is a balance of having time to heal versus isolating yourself so much that you almost forget how to do the things that you did before the grief or the loss took hold of you. And in my case, there have been a lot of situations where, like, even down to like friendships, where I've had like a really close connection with a friend, and then out of nowhere they don't respond, and then like I will try to get in contact with them, and like they just don't want to hear. So there is like that painful loss of somebody. Like I said, I feel emotions really, really deeply, but it's something that I'm learning to move through, and while doing so, I'm learning to find healthier coping mechanisms. And another thing that is really kind of helped me on my journey is to like find someone who, like, because my main one is food. So like I've had issues with binging and like overeating, and then like being at the point where I just don't want to deal with food, so it's just overwhelming. So I just make sure that I've got the essentials as much as I can, but having somebody there that I can talk to that understands where I'm coming from. Like, I'm not getting gaslit and being told like, oh, your weight is the problem. Like, okay, yeah, that's like a part of it, but there is like another layer of it, and that's the bit that I want help with. I need that bit to be explored. So having someone that was there to like listen and then said, okay, I understand your goals, I understand where you are at the moment, let's have a look at things that are outside of your physical body, so there's not so much pressure on you thinking that you need to see like a massive change in your physical body in order for you to be successful. So this was something that made me really happy, and like even still, like I'm still talking to her, and like every time I speak to her I'm met with love, and this has really helped me on my journey because she has allowed me to feel like, she's allowed me to feel my emotions. And I feel like that little section there was very magical and intentional, because I'm sure I had subconsciously told myself that there needed to be something after the word feel, because I was thinking, okay, yeah, maybe I need to feel a specific something. But right now I feel like it's okay to just have sensations and not necessarily feeling the pressure to put a name next to something. If you can't quite put it into words, that's okay. If you need to draw it, that's okay. But if you can't draw it, that is also okay. And just experiencing what your mind and body are doing as they are co-creating something within you so that you feel and become aware of it. I feel like that is so beautiful. So yeah, and I feel like on the subject of like body positivity and rebuilding my relationship with food, with positive influences around me, I know that there is a lot of frustration and anger around my body, but that could also be a reason as to why I'm very closed off with myself. Like there was a point where I felt like there wasn't much point in me taking pride in my appearance. Like I was okay, but I didn't want to necessarily put in effort. And that, from like a spiritual standpoint and like a standpoint where I wanted to manifest stuff, that wasn't doing my energy or my aura any good, because I wasn't really elevating my like how I felt. Like I wasn't shifting how I felt. I was just wanting to sit and just be in that energy, and I just wasn't moving any of the energy in my mind or my body, and it did start to take a really big toll on me. And now I am focusing more on just taking it one day at a time and allowing myself to actually have like silence in the day, because I know that helps me. But I'm also so concerned about needing to have some type of background noise, that when it comes to me actually trying to think and trying to exist, I'm not really allowing myself to do that in its entirety, because there is always something that my brain is trying to focus on, trying to take in, whether it be music, a YouTube video, a podcast of some sort. There's always some type of noise, and over the last few days I have just learnt that it's okay for there to be like no noise. Like, it's okay for there not to be any noise, and I'm safe when there is no noise. And feeling those emotions and sensations when there is nothing else to distract me has been really, really moving. And this is like just another barrier that I've been able to break down on my journey, and I'm so happy that I'm able to document all of this, because my healing is like far from over, and I really do believe that you're never really fully healed, because something somewhere along the line will bring up an old wound, and you have to like nurse it back to health, or just like being okay. And nurturing yourself is something that's so needed, especially in today's world. It just makes things so much easier, I feel, when you allow yourself to have that space and that time to be gentle with yourself, allowing yourself to lean into how you're feeling in the moment, because numbing wears off eventually. Like if you try and numb something, it can only last so long, and then when you do get tired of numbing something, you start to feel all of those emotions and sensations, and it can hurt you more in the long run, because when you do finally feel that wound, there's like all these other things that are compounding on top of it, and it's like, why did I waiting means that I'm just holding on to something that is hurting me, when it would just hurt less to feel, and then just let it go, release it with love, and begin the healing process from that moment moving forward. And just having complex PTSD, childhood trauma, all of those things, like that's enough for your body to be like dealing with. And I feel like there's a lot to process, and it's not something that obviously gets done overnight, and it's also not something that gets healed overnight. And when you feel ready to explore a particular area of your journey and like your life up to this point, it can help you if you are already looking into things that are a more positive outlet for your emotions. And I feel that if you are already wanting to do better, it makes the possibility of like welcoming the next generation so much easier, because you are beginning to release and shed like all of that stuff that has been held with you through your parents, your grandparents, great-grandparents. You are starting to remove all of that from like a spiritual standpoint, and getting that information out of your body, like the stuff that you don't want, you're getting all of that out of your body so that you can start to make new memories, you can bring in new traditions, you can start exploring things that you want to open your heart, mind and soul to. And I feel like that is so lovely. And yeah, if any of you feel like you are ready to make this transition, I would invite you to comment below. You can visit my website that is linked in the description, or you can message me on Instagram. And yeah, again, that is linked in the description as well. So as always, I hope you have a gentle day, and I will speak to you in the next one.